really hope Florida. I hope Florida really enjoyed their win yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out breaking all kinds of records.
Yeah,
That's right. The dumbest Saints bracket. So what's our first? Oh, this is a strong side of the bracket we got going.
Maybe do a little recap first, Ralph, of what happened last week.
I mean, so you do it, Thomas. I can't. My computer's free.
we got Junior
Not the
Gillette.
host, man. Come on.
All right, dude, you do it.
I can't really
you
see
do
you.
it.
You
No,
need
I
to
got
make it
it.
bigger. I
Junior
can't see.
Gillette won. Keith Poole won. Ely and Caponia won. That was our first our first upset. They upset out Aaron Brooks,
God,
and then
Ralph.
Albert Connell won. So it was chalk on that side of the bracket, except
Not
for
really, but okay.
the upset.
Well, you really nailed that, Ralph.
I
Yeah.
nailed it.
Well
nailed
done,
it.
Ralph. Great stuff.
Nailed it. Nailed
Oh
it.
God! Hold
Caponia.
on, baby.
So now
Let's go.
So now we're going to the other side of the bracket. Thomas, what's our first matchup?
Caponia.
Let's see who's bigger dummy. Jonathan Sullivan and Gary Jackson versus George Rogers.
Okay, so
Did he
this
say Gardy Jackson?
he did.
He's fired. Fired.
So
Get that, kid out of there.
That was very
Get the hook.
on brand for a Marlboro.
that
Get
was
the hook. I don't know who that kid is, but get the hook. Get him out of there.
so this one is a strong matchup because Jonathan Sullivan and Grady Jackson, besides just being fat and Jonathan Sullivan being maybe one of the biggest busts in Saints history, Andrew, when they were both inactive during the Hazlitt years, they decided to partake of the media buffet against the Atlanta Falcons in pregame, which it's got to be up there as one of the dumbest things Saints players have ever done.
Both of them together did this.
Both of them together took the elevator up, hit the media buffet.
Because whenever
and
I've heard
went
stories,
back
it's always
down.
just Jonathan Sullivan. I didn't know Grady Jackson was a part of this.
I actually feel, well, first of all, that one of the greatest nicknames of all time was Gravy Jackson, which is what they call him. But
I listen to a podcast called The Doughboys, and they do like a little roast beforehand every show, and they do a play on words, something like that, and that would qualify perfectly. That was exactly
yeah. Well, anyway,
Gravy Jackson.
I feel like this would have been more powerful without Gravy Jackson. I feel like Jonathan Sullivan on his own, especially when you consider, I feel like his draft status and how he delivered as a draft pick is fuel to the fire here. So selfishly, I'm so mad at him and how bad he was that I want him to advance.
Maybe if he wins, we can just next round, Thomas, just redo the graphic, drop Gravy Jackson like a hot potato.
Yeah, I will say this, and I don't know if you guys have heard this story before. I think we've probably said it on this podcast over the years that we've done this show. But Jonathan Sullivan, the story goes that, obviously he was picked in the top 10, so he had a massive signing bonus, and he bought a really big house in a nice neighborhood in New Orleans with that money. And, when he was cut by the Saints, or he was traded to the Patriots for like a 7th round pick or something awful. And he was moving from New Orleans. His real estate agent tried to unload his house. And as the story goes, the real estate agent goes in the house and she's opening cabinets, and there's like 15 empty Dorito bags in the cabinet.
It looked like me on a podcast.
The frat house. So he's a bust, Kevin, but on-field stuff doesn't necessarily translate to dumb. But George Rogers, our number 15 seed, he bought $10,000 worth of cocaine when he was a Saint, but he used a personal check.
Look, Charles Barkley said it best a few years ago, talking about Jussie Smollett. Don't commit crimes with checks. Don't do that. Just get straight cash. On top of that, he bought the cocaine during his rookie season in 1981, and went on to become rookie of the year.
That's right. He was rookie of the year. So
and got to the Pro Bowl.
that's right. And he had like 400 carries that year for like 1,600 yards. Like Bum Phillips was literally running him every other play. But I mean, the 1980-81 Saints, Andrew, it's easier to list who wasn't doing cocaine than was. But this one, I don't know. I feel like this one is a hard one for me because October says cocaine is a hell of a drug. It is. This one's hard for me because recency bias tells me Jonathan Sullivan hitting the buffet before a Falcons game. But honest, like if you just separate your recency bias, using a personal check to buy cocaine is pretty freaking dumb. So I'm torn, but my recency bias wins out. I'm going Jonathan Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think you sold me here. when you write a check, I mean, the only thing missing here is for him to put cocaine in the memo. that's really
powder.
Honestly, like if he put cocaine in the memo, we're talking like number 1 seed and Junior Gillette is fucking hanging out with Ralph in his air conditionless house, sweating it, you know. But I'm going with George Rogers.
Wow.
1-1.
Dave, who you got?
Damn, that would be a huge upset, I think.
Dave, you could unmute yourself.
This is a tough one, but I'm going to say, look, on one side, you've got guys that took something that debilitated their performance, and on the other side, you had somebody that took something that helped.
Well, hold on. How do you know he wasn't better from it?
How do I know that Jonathan Sullivan,
like Kevin said,
talking about George Rogers,
Grady Jackson weren't better for the extra 2,000 calories that they got?
I'm talking about Rogers.
Kevin said he was rookie of the year, man.
That's what I'm saying. On one side, you had people,
Saints Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yeah, who were debilitated by their extra curricular intake, and you had people that were maybe perhaps buoyed by their extracurricular intake. And so, look, if George Rogers needed to go skiing to help out his game and to help himself benefit the team, more power to him. That's more than I can say about Jonathan Sullivan and Grady Jackson, who were selfishly just eating food and hurting themselves and also hurting the team.
How much is?
I'm going with Sullivan Jackson. I'm voting for.
How
Sullivan.
much is $10,000 in 2023 money? Like how much was that in 1980?
Like $800,000.
Wait, hang on a second. You know what? Hang on. We're gonna do an inflation.
How much cocaine does $10,000?
Probably twice as much. I would guess.
So let's see. So $10,000.
You're muted, Dave.
In 1980.
In 1980. So I'm gonna say, let's pick September. That's during football season.
That's right.
So let's try
baby.
and pull it up right now. September of 1980, $10,000 has the same. All right,
like that's a lot.
$36,205.60.
That is a lot of coke. That is like Tony Montana.
Okay, now Google.
Like, how do you know?
No, Kevin. Now Google how much cocaine can I buy for $36,000.
That is Scarface levels of cocaine.
Oh, he's doing it. So Kevin doesn't care about his search.
One out to go.
I don't give a fuck.
So Kevin, so now that you know he spent the equivalent of $36,000 of cocaine in 1981, who are you voting for?
So let's see. So cocaine prices.
Still Donald Trump.
Weighted average in the U.S. per gram. Oh, God, I got to do the metric system?
No,
what does it say about this game that the LSU didn't even bother to play Skeens?
That's right.
They didn't even bother to put him in the game.
He's 4 beers
I
in.
go back and
Skeens
find
is
this.
4 beers in already.
Kevin, I want the retail street value. I don't want the wholesale value too either.
No, I want to.
I'll work on that.
If I'm going to break this up into grams and sell it individually,
What do you got?
How
How much is a brick in 1981?
No, that
gotta
brick
figure-
is selling it for less. We can get it for more if we break it up into grams and sell it on the street.
You hear that? That's the businessman in Dave talking
That's
right
right.
there.
What do you have going on the back
Nice
of your
bowl,
shop,
Juge.
Dave?
Anyway,
It's not too often you see it snowing in New Orleans.
anywho,
Wow.
It's not. It's rare. So get in while you can, kids.
I'm really tempted to go with George Rogers paying with a check. However, I feel bad. I would feel bad voting for him. He went to rehab, got out a year later, got arrested for drugs again in 1990, and then cleaned up his act apparently. And he's been on the straight and narrow and does anti-drug interdiction talk and stuff.
Hey, dumb is dumb, bro.
I know, and I'm sure he would admit that it was asinine behavior on his part.
If you're gonna buy drugs, you pay cash. Everyone knows that.
Yes.
So what are we doing, Kevin?
We're
Or
going
you
with
choose
Sullivan
the
and
private
Jackson.
setting on
All
that.
right. So Thomas.
Sullivan
what's
and
the-
Jackson.
So does that make it 2-2, Thomas?
Nope, that's 3-1.
All right.
And the
Make it
winner
official,
is
Thomas.
Ralph can't pronounce it. He
Jonathan Sullivan
can't. He can't
and
count.
Gary Jackson.
Gary.
Gary
Did he
Jackson.
just say Gary Jackson?
He sounds drunker than Daddy on that one.
Thanks for watching the Saints Happy Hour. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, then find us wherever you get your podcast, and finally go to saintshappyhour.com and become a patron of the best Saints podcast on earth.